What's up, everybody? Julian Hall here, Ultrapreneur TV, at the Ultrapreneur, everywhere on the web. Hold on, let me just get my swag right. Okay, cool. So today I wanted to talk about measuring success, and I'm going to borrow a framework from my educational and scientific brethren, and that is the importance they put around measurable outcomes. So for those of you who are in education, or for those of you who are in science, then you can relate that you pretty much live and die by your measurable outputs and outcomes, typically because, you know, it's attached to a tick box exercise or funding or some other kind of support mechanism, right? And generally, as entrepreneurs, especially startup entrepreneurs, we don't measure a thing, right? And having worked with some people in science and education and educational tech and blah blah blah, you know, I've been introduced to these ideas of measuring your outcomes and your outputs, and I think it's really good for us who are just purely commercially minded to think in similar ways. And that is because, and let me explain. Measuring your outputs could be the equivalent of saying it's actually what you do. So an output is something that you do. So it could be making 100 phone calls or sending 100 emails. That's the output. But the outcomes are, from those 100 phone calls or emails, I was able to generate 20 sales, 30 sales, or, you know, 10 grand's worth of revenue, right? Those are the outcomes. Now, the reason why they measure those things is because they want to see whether or not the funding or the support that's being put in place is effective, and whether or not they should repeat that. As entrepreneurs, we kind of don't do that. There's a lot of winging it. There's a lot of finger in the air type stuff. But I would encourage you, as an entrepreneur, if you want your business to grow. Now, if you just have a lifestyle business and it just ticks over and, you know, it feeds you and your family and blah, 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 and you just got, you know, solopreneur thing, and you don't really want the stress, then that's cool. But if you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow, or you're in a really competitive market and you need to compete, then I strongly suggest you start measuring your outputs and outcomes so that you can see what works. And the reason why that is quite important for entrepreneurs is because there is so many different ways for entrepreneurs to do things now. There are so many solutions, strategies, providers, consultants. Like, you know, in the business community, you trip over solutions, you trip over people who have the, you know, answer to every problem you've got, right? So it's important for you to be able to understand what's actually going to work for you. Otherwise, you're going to be going through solutions like nobody's business, and you're not actually going to know what's going to work for you. And just like having a bucket, try to collect water, there's holes in it, you need to plug those holes, and those holes essentially are efficiency. But the only way you can do that is if you can, you know, you see where the holes are, because you're measuring what's going on, so you can see what's working, what isn't working. Now, you might think, my goodness, that sounds very expensive and very complicated. Actually, it really isn't. If you have a website, then, you know, the server that your website sits on is going to have a statistics package on it, a stats package on it. Ask your web designer or marketing guy to implement Google Analytics on your website. I mean, Google Analytics is a fantastic tool. It tells you so much about your business. You can measure sales and all this kind of stuff. If you have an e-commerce platform, it's going to have some kind of stats thing attached to it. And even if you're just doing social, a lot of the social things out there, the social advertising platforms out there, they will measure a ton of stuff that's happening on your videos, your blogs, your tweets. All of this stuff is measurable, right? So the information is out there. It's whether or not you want to take the time out to actually look at the information and try and dig out not just analytics, not just the numbers, but try and get some form of business intelligence from it, so you can draw some conclusions from the numbers, so that it can guide you down a path that says, these out of the, you know, 100 solutions out there, these are the handful of solutions that work for my business within the context of the time that I'm running my business, with the resources that I've got, and so on and so forth. So again, if you've just got a business that ticks along and you're not too bothered, then, you know, you don't really need to worry much about this stuff. But if you really want to grow really fast, or you're in a really competitive market, and you're mindful and you haven't just got a ton of cash just to throw at solutions, then you really got to start measuring what's happening in your business. Measure the outputs, measure the outcomes, and doing that is a great habit to get into. You'll learn, you'll get a lot of business intelligence, and all it means that as you become more successful, you will start to lower the cost to acquire customers, and that will help you to increase profitability. So if that's been useful to you or anyone you know, please share my stuff. And that's it, Julian Hall. I am out of here. Peace.